Hey guys, October 14th, 2025, here with your after hours recap. So, Coot is the kind of market we are in. Trump mentioned soybeans, and he's unhappy that, China's maybe not buying soybeans from us, and okay, fine, or uh, whatever the case is. And Trump said, well, we can produce our own soybeans, and the environment we are in is that really whatever Trump talks about, whether it's rare earths or semiconductors or whatever, that's kind of the place that gets this big kind of move. And so COOT is a soybean name, and of course it is flying a bit in after hours. We still saw some continued strength in the rare earth names. MP hit a new high today. BE continues to act really, really well and also hit a new high. I did put on a short on UAMY, so that's working for now. We'll see if this thing wants to fade off a little bit more. USAR, again, you just get these big extended moves, a little bit of a pullback today. CRML, again, just kind of ridiculous. 30% up move after basically being up 400% in 10 trading days. It's just kind of the environment we're in. WWR, one of these graphite names, also looks like it's pushing higher in after hours and probably wants to, maybe squeeze a little bit more. I don't know. AQMS, another one of these where it was up over 200% today. The data center plays. Iron continues to be wildly strong. Cypher continues to be pretty damn strong. Hut saw a new high today over $50. So it's just, again, it's the environment we are in. Quantum stocks, Rigetti, new high. But on the flip side of that, IONQ, not so much. Probably has to do with a little bit of the dilution that is taking place over at IONQ. You had a little bit of an unfilled gap on the way down. That's not, the best thing to start. And then really a little bit of weakness at the close. Nothing terrible. The daily I still think looks fine if you're bullish. But yes, we are getting a little bit extended, long in the tooth, whatever adjective you want to use for the speculative stuff in the market. Oklo, again, another one of these, just another new high, big massive push. UUUU today, another one with a big massive recovery after the morning washout, $27, and you could just see this thing. It's up 400% in just a handful of months. So it's kind of the environment again that we're in, and it's when the Russell's at a new all-time high, this is gonna kind of be what the environment is. It's not going to be the necessarily led by mega caps, or you start to see some rotation. And today we did see some rotation. You saw some rotation back into the home builders, the XHB ETF. And we saw some rotation, just a really, really clean bounce on a huge pickup in volume for the home builders. And you also saw the XLF, the financials, acting really well, led by none other than Wells Fargo, WFC. So that was nice to see. Oh, and not to mention that all of the regional banks in the Russell every single one of them were up. So the Russell is comprised of 20% financials, and those are all working themselves higher. That is going to be good for the Russell. But obviously, right at the end of the day, you get that news with Trump talking about soybean oils, talking about cooking oil, as if it's, something insane, and then the market starts to roll over a little bit on that. But before, we just kind of say, oh, well, it's just Trump talking. I want to make sure that, we do put price action first. And when we look at an Amazon, by the skin of its teeth, it bounced at the 200 simple moving average today. Not something we want to see. Obviously, we had the big down day on Friday, and we are effectively closing right at that level again today. The last thing we really want to see is us losing the 200 simple moving average in any kind of meaningful way. We don't really want to see NVIDIA starting to lose the 50 simple moving average. That would not be good. And what do you see? You basically get a breakout and now a failed breakout on Friday. Continuation lower today. That's not the best. A very, very subtle unfilled gap from yesterday until today. that's not so good. It didn't fill it. And then, we kind of continued lower and stayed heavy all day. That's not an ideal scenario. I don't want to be losing the 50 simple moving average on that name. Obviously, when you lose the 50, it can turn into something like ALAB, and that is no good, where you come right into the 50 yesterday, and then all of a sudden you're gapping down points, and then you're rolling over in a big way. No good. And then CRDO with that, also no good, losing the 50 simple moving average, also on a pickup in volume. And I talked about this one today in pre-market prep, and somebody asked me, what do you think about CRDO? And I said, it looks fine. Just let it get back above the 20. Why is that? Well, how many more times does the stock got to reject the 20 simple moving average for you to just be like, oh, okay, fine, I get it. I'm just not going to touch it until it gets back above the 20. Well, yeah, had you done that, you wouldn't have been dealing with this, waiting for it to get back above the 20. Don't own it when it's clearly rejecting a key moving average. Just wait for it to get back up above and use that key moving average as your guide, right? I mean, don't overcomplicate the situation more than it has to be. So you're starting to see a handful of cracks in the semiconductor space. I don't want to see that much further. AVGO had the news with OpenAI, which I think at this point it's easier to find out who doesn't have news with OpenAI versus who does, and because everybody's got news with OpenAI. But what I don't really want to see have happen is I don't want to see this thing also lose Friday's lows, aka the 50 simple moving average. So it would be nice if the other semis kind of within the sector, and NVIDIA included, could kind of start to find some support around the 50, and maybe it's just a one-off thing going on with CRDO and ALAB and also ANET. I know they deal kind of more on connectivity, and this is also breaking the 50. We don't want to see too many prior leaders start to lose key moving averages, and Hood is another one of these where everything may be fine still. I still think everything is fine so long as you're above the 50, but you start to close below the 20 again. Do we have a date with the 50 while that's taking place? Is the market really going to be catching a bid? I don't know. All I know is that it's not really the most conducive environment to brand new swing setups. If you're in stuff that's been working, some of the metals, still some old semis, still some of the quantum names, still some of the nuclear names, that's fine. Let them work. I'm still in some names as well, and I'm in Rocket Lab, and I think that this thing acts perfectly fine. ASTS today was an absolute monster. I still think this thing acts perfectly fine. So just letting your names that are working continue to work. But it feels like you start to get too extended with these metals, you start to get too extended with the nuclear, you start to get too extended with the data center names and the quantum stuff. I have a feeling the market's not going to be so kind and then just like slowly give you opportunities to short these parabolic moves, and then them just roll over, and then the next theme just rolls over, and then the next theme just rolls over. It's going to kind of probably happen all at once, where it just becomes a full risk-off scenario, all in one day, and then you have a hard time getting yourself situated for days 2, 3, and 4, because that first down day was too much, and then you get kind of a nasty unwind on some of this stuff. And just when you think that things are going to go up forever, I'll remind you of STX. It's like you make this really big move up, everybody's super euphoric within this sector, and then things hit their peak, and then all of a sudden you start to roll over. Nothing's really dead with this name just yet. Obviously, you can base out for the next 2-3 months, build a whole new base. That's all fantastic. But I just want you to, you to see that things can go down 20% fairly quickly, and in some of the more speculative stuff, could unwind, even faster. So, once they get rolling, they really get rolling. So, just make sure you paid yourself. Be a little bit more cautious. Don't be packing on tons of exposure on the things that are wildly extended. And that's just my thinking here. The QTUM ETF continues to act fine. Obviously, a little bit of pull at the end of the day. The metals continue to act awesome, but getting highly extended. The clean energy continues to act well, but also getting a little bit up there fairly quickly. And I'm not in the mood of chasing anything in this market. I like today's bit of a gap down. Today's gap down gave you a morning washout right on something like GEV, and GEV did what I thought it should have. It bounced right at the 50 and the 10 and the 20, right? We're just incredibly tight here on the daily, and then you get a bounce right intraday right from that level. Palantir, same deal, right? You don't want to see these things just breaking their 50 and dying. You break the 50, you reclaim, you get back above VWAP, and then you're off to the races. Really, really nice to see. I did try some core weave today. You did bounce off the 20. I tried to get long it today, and then the way it closed just made me cut it. Teeny tiny little loss. I'm not going to be sitting in positions flat overnight. Not kind of with the news headlines. I want to make sure that when I buy something, I've got enough cushion, comfortable cushion, to be able to hold it overnight. I do not want to get stubborn with brand new positions. I want to make sure that they're pushing away from my average quickly and cleanly and closing up in the upper half of the range to really allow me to hold them overnight. Hopefully, you guys all had a superb trading day. Like I said, financials continue to act well. At least a nice bounce back. Home builders, a nice bounce back off the 200. Money definitely rotated into those two places. You continue to get very extended on some of the names we've already mentioned, whether it's data centers, quantum, nuclear, or rare earths, and that's fine. You continue to see some weakness in your MSTRs of the world, but that's about the only crypto traditional play other than Coinbase right now, and that's not doing a whole lot. Bitcoin and Ethereum, nice little bounces today, but yeah, both of them did finish down on the day, so not much going there either. And as I said, as for me, I need to get some cushion on the new names that I own. Otherwise, I'll just continue to have what I have, and I still have my hedge open in the SQQQ from 1512 from the last few days. And yesterday, it gapped down on me, and this is from Friday. You ramped. All my positions gapped up yesterday. This gapped down, and then all my positions, were kind of gapping down today, and then this was gapping up. So that's just kind of the situation that we're in. It's just a lot of back and forth, a lot of whipsaw right now, and that's kind of why I'm more so hands off, and I'm kind of more of the mindset of if things are kind of giving these parabolic blow-off moves like a UAMY, capitalize on them on the short side. So again, hopefully you guys all had a awesome trading day. Please continue to stay safe out there, and I will see you guys bright and early for pre-market prep, or I will see you guys in the room right near the open. Cheers, guys.